LeBron and Steph showdown in an instant Christmas Day classic. The 76ers upset the Celtics behind their big three of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Caleb Martin. Victor Wembanyama with an all-time Christmas debut and so much more. It's all coming up right here at Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
What is up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night, and man, we had an amazing Christmas Day slate of NBA basketball on our hands. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And joining me is my twin, the host of Locked On Mavericks and also Locked On NBA Game Night, Nick Angstadt. Nick, you ready to talk some Christmas Day basketball?
Jackson, they let the talking haircuts together on the show today. An incredible slate in the NBA. Probably, maybe the best slate of Christmas Day games we've ever had.
Ever? Okay, that's some really
not one dud. I mean, the Suns and Nuggets was the only one that was kind of but not one dud.
Honestly, yeah, you look across the slate of the NBA, 2-point game. Every game decided by single digits except for that very final game. And
it was just 10.
Yeah, so honestly, really competitive slate across the NBA landscape, and yeah, you're right. It was a fantastic day for Christmas basketball for all the people who, finally tune in. Anybody who's tuning into the NBA season and you're like, you know what? Basketball doesn't start until Christmas Day. All right, Christmas Day did not disappoint. Can we maybe stop the discussion about the NBA ratings and all this stuff? It was a fun, awesome day filled with great basketball. We're going to get into all of it on today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. And we're going to go out to our first game of the evening, an instant Christmas classic, a showdown between two legends, LeBron James and Steph Curry. Let's throw it out to Locked On Lakers for the reaction.
Everyone, this is Brian Kamenetsky, co-host of Locked On Lakers. Huge win for the Lakers on Christmas Day, 115-113 over the Warriors. Austin Reeves with a drive to the basket and a finish with about 1 second left in the game. A really exciting game, as LeBron said afterwards. He doesn't know how many more times there will be for Steph and LeBron to put on a show for people, particularly on Christmas. Both of those guys were excellent on Wednesday evening. LeBron for the Lakers, 31 points, 10 assists, only 1 turnover. Really important for them because the Lakers lost Anthony Davis in the first half with an ankle injury. He did not return in the second. Lakers did a lot of little things right. I mentioned the 1 turnover for LeBron, only 9 for the Lakers as a team. They were 18 of 18 from the free throw line, so limited their mistakes, made clutch free throws, won without Anthony Davis available for the second half. Big win for the Lakers. Much more to come on Locked On Lakers.
Definitely a big win for LA, Nick. And on the other side of the aisle here for the Warriors, I mean, Steph was just sensational in this game. 38 points, 14 of 25, shooting 8 of 15 from downtown, including he reeled off like 8 straight points there in the closing moments of this game to try and pull the Warriors within striking distance to try and win this game. We got the Mike Breen double bang on that
the ninth
second
all
three.
Time. Ninth. It's wild.
It's and how many of those is Steph responsible for? He's two
the
of them,
OKC
right?
one and this one.
Okay, there you go. So 2 double bangs for Steph Curry. Honestly, the close to this game, high-level shot making on both sides. It was ridiculous watching. It's always ridiculous watching LeBron and Steph go toe-to-toe. And I kind of thought this game was actually going to go by the wayside for a second there, and the Lakers were just going to pull away from it cleanly because about 3-4 minutes left to go in the game. Steph started like he was trying to take over, and he missed a bunch of shots right in a row before he had his just insane Human Torch-esque experience to end this game.
The thing about this Warriors team is you just can't let them stick around because they have the shooters that can get you back into games. The Lakers kept going on runs. third quarter, they went an 11-2 run, and then the Warriors would creep back in and then get back in there. And then 3:27 left in the game. Like you said, that Lakers had just gone on a 7-0 run. They were up by 10, and you're thinking, okay, they just ride this out into the sunset and ride it in. And then you get the LeBron and Curry trade threes, and you get a Schroeder three, and then you get the insane Curry threes, and all of a sudden it's like a 1-point game with 13 seconds left after the Curry inbound, relocate, and then hit the three over LeBron James, which was maybe the more impressive shot to me than the double bang shot, because he's in the corner, the right corner. LeBron James is guarding him, and he has to throw a 3-point shot over LeBron. For people saying that like more threes and the threes are making the game bad, like watch Steph Curry one time. Watching him is just absolutely incredible to see what he did in this game. To see LeBron and Curry do that and go back and forth and have that battle back and forth was just, it's everything that this whole era of the NBA has been about, and it was awesome to see.
Absolutely. And you heard it, in the post-game interview with LeBron kind of talking about, I don't know how many more of these battles we're going to be able to have. Steph Curry in an interview the other day kind of talked about, it's okay to be able to kind of look at, the end of your career and start thinking about what it's going to be like, potentially retiring, moving on, that kind of thing. And it's really, first off, it's really sad to hear
like these guys are going to die. It's like
oh man, I mean, look, it's disappointing because they've been such a staple part of NBA basketball for so long, right? Yeah. These are living legends still playing the game at a very, very high level every single day. But which of these teams, Nick, when you look right now at the state of the Lakers, the state of the Warriors, which of these teams do you think has the best shot for their star to win one more title?
God, this is an impossible question. Looking at these two teams, because they have their flaws in their own way. You look at the stars and, okay, which of these stars could carry their team? I don't know if a 40-year-old LeBron, he's going to turn 40 in 4 days? I don't know if he can carry a team through. And I don't know that Anthony Davis can either. He's had a good season so far. He's had stretches and moments where it looks like he could be a player that drags a team to a championship again. But if you're looking at these two teams as they are, the Warriors still have most of their picks. Lakers have 2 future picks. Like it's going to take a trade from either of these teams, I think, to get them there. And so when you look at that, I think I would pick the Warriors, but then I started looking at the Warriors record. The Warriors started 12-3, and since then they're 3-11 now. Like this is probably not a good basketball team. So I think I ended up with the Lakers. I think the Lakers have a move in them that they could do. They have players, they have people in the right positions. I think they just need 2 more rotation players if they could get them.
They have so many guys who really do excel in their roles, though, right? The Lakers do with Austin Reeves, Dalton Knecht, who's been playing out of his mind, Rui Hachimura really stepping up in this game with no Anthony Davis, playing the 5 the rest of the way, basically. He had 18 points on 6 of 12 shooting. We talked about Austin Reeves hitting the game winner, but he had a triple-double, a 26-point triple-double, 10 boards, 10 dimes in this game. He was instrumental in this win for the Lakers.
Only 9 players in NBA history have had triple-doubles on Christmas Day.
There you go.
9. Austin Reeves is now one of them. They had 3 different players in 2021. Westbrook, Harden, and Kemba Walker. Wild.
Kemba Walker. one of these things is not like the other, but oh man, it was a fantastic game between these two teams, and who knows? They're both poised to be able to potentially make a move. They've been Lakers are linked to every rumor under the sun. Maybe the Warriors make a play for Jimmy Butler. Who knows? But coming up, the 76ers upset the Celtics at home with their big 3 of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and apparently Caleb Martin. Of all things, how concerning is Boston's defensive regression, and was this a good barometer game for Philly? We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Look, if you're trying to buy tickets to go to an NBA game, could be to go to a football game, could be to go to any kind of event, whether it's a concert, maybe a theater event happening near you, Game Time is the best ticket buying experience on the marketplace. They have their Game Time Picks filter, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different ticketing offers. But that's not the only feature they have that's amazing. They've got their ticket coverage, their lowest price guarantee, views from your seat, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive at your venue. My personal favorite is their all-in pricing. When you download the Game Time app, you toggle on the all-in pricing feature, and they show you the price up front. They're fully transparent, no hidden fees along the way, none of that stuff that you deal with other ticket selling apps or websites. So take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rocket Money. Look, I don't know about you, but it's happened to me a few times before. I've subscribed to a service and forgotten about it, free trials, all that kind of stuff. And then you don't even realize that you're still paying for it. Like, it could be a month later, it could be a few months later, embarrassingly enough. And Rocket Money makes it so easy to track them all down and take care of these subscriptions that you don't want to pay for anymore. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals that you want to hit financially this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to an average of $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. And continuing on here at Locked On NBA Game Night, where we have here at Locked On a show covering your favorite team every single day of the week, Christmas Day included. Maybe you're a Mavs fan, you go check out Locked On Mavs. We'll talk about them here in just a moment. If you're a Rockets fan, come hang out with me over at Locked On Rockets, but we got a team for you, for every team in the NBA. Let's get to our next game here on the docket, Nick. The Philadelphia 76ers getting a win, upsetting the Boston Celtics. Let's throw it out to our Locked On 76ers host, Keith Pompey, for the reaction from this one.
This is Keith Pompey coming to you guys from Boston. This was a huge win for the 76ers. The Sixers defeated the Boston Celtics 118-114 in what was judged as a barometer game for the Sixers. We wanted to know how good they were. We wanted to know if the 76ers could face and contend against a great team. A couple days ago, they played the Cleveland Cavaliers and lost by 27 points. Now, Joel Embiid didn't play that night. He played tonight, and he made a major difference. Joel finished with 27 points. He had 9 rebounds. Tyrese Maxey had 33 points, which was a game high. He also had a game high 12 assists. Caleb Martin, they call him the Boston Strangler too. Andrew Toney. This guy made 7 of 9 three-pointers. The 76ers won in what was a great barometer.
Caleb Martin, the Boston Strangler. You heard it here first.
The Boston Strangler 2.
My bad.
We've already had one, and now Caleb Martin is the next one.
Oh, man. Look, Caleb Martin was sensational in this game. Look, he was shooting 30% from 3 coming into this game. And then 23 points on, get this, 7 of 9 3-point shooting. He hit his first one, I want to say it was like early second quarter or whatever, and he had I think it was Al Horford, Porzingis was holding him, and Porzingis was like giving him the space, right? Like daring him to shoot. Yeah. And he was like, you know what? All right, fine. I'll pull the trigger. And he's got like this like awkward hitch in his shot too. Like there's a reason he's shooting 30% from 3 this year, but he absolutely popped off this game.
Jaylen Brown said it was their game plan to leave him open, that they were going to send help to other guys and to leave Caleb Martin. And sometimes you have to pick your poison with some of these teams that have multiple players that are threats all over the court. And Caleb Martin ended up being the release valve for that. Caleb Martin, 20, like you said, 7 of 9 from 3. This is more threes, 7, than he's made in the last 9 games combined for Caleb Martin. He's only made 2 or more threes in a game, 3 out of 22 games this season. He's only shot 33% in 4 out of 22 games. Like, this is an outlier of all outliers. And sometimes that's what it takes. And sometimes that's what it takes in a playoff run. You just get somebody that goes off. The Mavs a couple years ago had Maxey hit like 5 or 6 threes in a game against the Utah Jazz. And that ended up being a big thing because he was the one that got left open. And sometimes that's just what you need. Caleb Martin has been that guy before. We've seen him for the Miami Heat go crazy, and that's what I call him, the Boston Strangler, because he hit a bunch of threes against them before. And so he gets it in this one. Sometimes you just get a guy that gets hot.
And look, honestly, I thinking about this game as like a barometer game for the 76ers, I was kind of on the fence, like, is it a barometer? I mean, we didn't really see the big 3 really play at full strength in this, right? Maxey had a sensational game. Embiid did what he does. But Paul George really, struggling in this one. Only 12 points, 4 of 15 shooting, missed all 7 of his threes in this one. But then you factor in maybe, okay, well, if you just kind of flipped Caleb Martin and Paul George's stat lines, then you'd be like, oh, okay, that's more like like what the big three should look like on a night where if PG's got it going, Embiid's got it going, Maxey's got it going, you kind of have the vision for how this Celtics team, is ultimately going to look when all these guys are, well, they're healthy now, but right, consistently healthy, and they start to gel and kind of coalesce together as a team. And they got the right role players around them, to complement that. Caleb Martin going off in this game, obviously. I thought Yabusele was fantastic off the bench for them in this one. 12 points, 2 of 4 from downtown, had some hustle plays here and there. He was strong. You start to see the vision a little bit for the 76ers in their big three era.
This is an insane box score game for the Sixers. You just look across the board. You see, obviously, the Caleb Martin we talked about, but Joel Embiid minus 18, Paul George minus 16, and then off the bench, Kyle Lowry plus 20, Gershon Yabusele off the bench plus 18. Like, it just is weird stuff all over the court here in this box score. And it's because at the beginning of that fourth quarter run, and that's the reason why they won this game, is because beginning of the fourth quarter with Embiid and Paul George on the bench, the Sixers went on a 21-4 run and were up 15 with 6:37 left, and that gave them enough of a lead to withstand the Celtics' last-ditch effort to get a win there. And it was because of their bench, which has not been a strength of the Sixers team this season. But if you have enough guys to spread around and do that, and you have Tyrese Maxey doing his thing, 33 points, 12 assists for him in a game like this, then you can make some stuff happen.
It was a 14-point game. So they had that huge run at the fourth. It was a 14-point game, 108-94 with a little bit more than 4 minutes to go. Like, it really did look like the 76ers were just going to coast to the finish line here. And then they had a bunch of brutal turnovers in a row. Maxey with 3 turnovers in a row, giving the Celtics some life. Let's flip the script here and throw it out to our Locked On Celtics host, John Corrales, for the Celtics half. We have to. I'm sorry, Nick.
Celtics defense really letting them down lately. This is their first losing streak of the season, 2 in a row after the Orlando loss. Now this loss to Philly. This 4-point loss, it was made close by a late comeback, and finally the Celtics defense stepped up. They hadn't gotten a steal the entire game. Then they got 3 in the last 3.5 minutes, showing that if they try, they can play pretty good defense. They're still capable of being one of the best defensive teams in the league. They have not been. They've been far from it, and that's been a problem at the first part of this season, where the Celtics have relied on their shooting, their offense to kind of get them through some of these games. Now that their offense is letting them down a little bit, guys like Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, who have been fueling a monster offense, have been struggling. It's being evident that their effort defensively is standing out as a problem to start the season. It's an effort thing. This isn't an ability thing, obviously. It's just, this is a team that wants to kind of shoot their way through the first part of the season until they get to where they want to go. But they're going to have to start trying a little bit harder to start winning these games again.
John Corrals in the club.
Oh, absolutely. I love it when we get the post-game videos and the music's still going in the background. You do it with the Mavs all the time.
Yes.
It's great. It's fantastic. Look, Celtics were the number 2 team in the NBA in defensive rating last season. They've fallen to 9th so far this year. Like John says, they clearly have the talent. They have the ability to do it, but so much of defense, you hear coaches talk about it, you hear players talk about it all the time. It's about effort. It's about desire. It's about pride. It's about the want to on that side of the ball. Have the Celtics kind of fallen into this trap of we're good enough. We're talented enough on offense. We knock down all these threes. We bury teams in an avalanche of threes every night. We don't have to be is that a concerning trend? And are they good enough as a team and as a unit to just tap back into their elite defense when they need to? Or is this potentially a troubling sign?
If I'm going to moonlight as a person that wants the Celtics to do good things and wants them to succeed in life, I'm not concerned about this at all. This is a classic example of a team that it succeeded at the highest level and then comes out the next year and just doesn't put the same amount of effort into the defensive end. The classic example is the Lakers in the Kobe and Shaq era. The first championship they won, they had the number 1 defense in the NBA. The second year they won in 2001, they had the 23rd defense in the NBA. And just in the playoffs, they just ratcheted it back up and were like, all right, we're going to be good again. And a 23rd ranked defense has not won a title. I don't know before, since they started tracking an offensive rating, and then since then, obviously. But the next year after that, they were 3rd in defense. These teams can turn it on. Some of it has been injury. Porzingis left this game with ankle soreness, and so maybe some of that is that he adds a lot to their defense. But I'm not worried about this team. They're actually a point better defensively than they were last year, even though their rank has dropped a little bit. It's just the state of the league right now. The biggest thing I think for them is their half-court defense. Last year, they were 7th in the NBA. This year, they're 15th in the NBA in half-court defense. That's sort of more of a playoff barometer for them. But I agree with Corrales that it's effort, and it'll come back to them. I mean, this is the same team.
Coming up, the Knicks were able to hold their own against the Spurs with a big night, a big Christmas Day game from Mikal Bridges, despite Victor Wembanyama with an all-time Christmas Day debut. And was the Wolves win against the Mavs with no Luka a little hollow? We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood Gold. Look, with Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. And final segment here at Locked On NBA Game Night, where we thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen each and every day. Let's get to our next game on the docket. Spurs at Madison Square Garden. Let's throw it out to Locked On Knicks for the reaction.
Victor Wembanyama almost played the Grinch, but not quite. Mikal Bridges was there to stop him. 41 points for Mikal Bridges to Wemby's 42 as the Knicks win 117-114 on Christmas Day at Madison Square Garden. Alex Wolf here from Locked On Knicks, and it was almost time for Wemby to have his Christmas moment, but not quite. The Knicks had a statement win here on a day when Jalen Brunson did not have his best stuff. Mikal Bridges came through and delivered his best game of the season, nearly capping off, though there's still a little bit left, but nearly capping off a very, very successful December for him where he has returned to form. And hopefully that carries on going forward, because then once Jalen Brunson is firing on all cylinders, once Karl Anthony Towns is firing on all cylinders, once OG Anunoby is firing on all cylinders, then this team will fully have everything going for it that they want on offense. But this is certainly a great step in the right direction and a big win for Knicks fans on Christmas.
Nick, can you say firing on all cylinders 5 times fast for me really quick?
No, because I usually say cooking on all cylinders on my show, and I royally screw up that. So can we take a step back and not everything's not a statement. It's not a statement win if you win against a 500 team that's 11th in the West.
It's not.
It's not, right?
No, look, okay, not to take anything away from the Knicks, right? Obviously, Mikal Bridges, that's a great sign for them. He had such a rough, horrid start to the season, shooting the basketball. He's come on strong as of late, so getting a 41 piece from him is exciting stuff. They got some big contributions from Cat and Jalen Brunson there in the third quarter, especially trying to, kind of pull away and give themselves a little bit of a cushion in this game. And then winning in the most Knicks way possible, because this came down to literally the final possession, and Josh Hart saved them on not one, but 2 offensive rebounds to not even give the Spurs a chance.
That's what he does.
Just Josh Hart doing Josh Hart things.
It's absolutely, it's what he does. It's wild to watch him and to see him do that. But Mikal Bridges, so big, 41 points, 17 of 25, took a ton of shots. Donald Duck embodied him in the Disney cast that I want to talk about a little bit later, and it was hilarious to watch him just go off in the fourth quarter, especially since he was so much smaller than all the other characters. We'll get to that. But the jumper with 3:51 left, he had a 3 jumper with 2 minutes left, and then the jumper with 1:18 left, just creating shots for himself, made it a 116-111. That was a 5-point game with just a minute and some change left, and that was, I think, what really got them, because the Spurs just couldn't create offense as easily as the Knicks could, because Mikal Bridges is just, you have that third guy that can create his own shot. It makes your offense so elite. It separates the really good offenses from the great ones.
And look, I don't know if, Mikal Bridges, his little stint with the Brooklyn Nets, being thrust into that number 1 option role. Clearly, Mikal's not a number 1 option for a legit contender. He's maybe not even a number 2 option for a legit contender, but having those reps, having the ball in his hands a lot with Brooklyn kind of gave him that experience, that opportunity to learn, okay, hey, this is what it's going to look like in these moments. And now he has opportunities where he can step up in a really big game, in, spotlight, Christmas Day basketball, all that. But on the other side of the aisle, Nick, Victor Wembanyama, the third highest scoring Christmas Day debut game in NBA history behind Wilt Chamberlain and Tracy McGrady. He had 42 points on 16 of 31 shooting. He was 6 of 16 from downtown, tying a Madison Square Garden record for most threes made on a Christmas Day game with 6 threes. He had 18 boards, 4 assists, 4 blocks, just a ridiculous stat line for Wemby. And so my question to you is Wemby already the best two-way force in the NBA?
That's so tough. Adding two-way to it is so hard because you think of who are the best offensive players in the NBA: Jokic, Luka, Curry, and then you're like, all right, who are the best defensive players in the NBA that also are great on offense? And you start to think through it. And it's, Giannis is the name that probably stands out. I don't.
AD?
Yeah, 80 is another one, but I don't know that he's past Giannis yet. Giannis still has just such a great impact on the game and can do it in a bunch of different ways. And his ball handling and his ability in transition is crazy and all that. And Wemby still has to be set up a little bit. That's why Chris Paul being there has been so good for him this season, a lot better than even I expected it to be. But the 42, 18, 4 assists and 4 blocks, not just Christmas. Let's take a step back from Christmas. The 5th time in NBA history it's ever happened. Just the 2nd time since 1990 that stat line has ever happened, which is just insane. And for him to do it on Christmas against this Knicks team, Towns was asked, what's the difference between like how are you and Wemby similar? And he's like, we're not similar. I'm 7 foot. He's 7 way more than that. And like just the difference in it's like hearing a 7 foot guy who had to guard Wemby all night try to explain it just shows how insane of a player he is.
There's like a standstill image of like Wemby and Kat standing next to each other.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of like back when Yao Ming would play and he was like 7'6", 300 pounds. Stood next to Shaq. And he made Shaq look small, right? Like Wemby stands next to other legit freakishly tall human beings and he makes them look small. It's kind of crazy. His production was unreal in this game. Didn't have enough to ultimately get over the hump and be the Grinch, like Alex was saying, in New York. However, there was a Grinch in New York City during this game, and that was Jeremy Sohan, who definitely dyed his hair. That was not, they were talking about it on the broadcast. They were like, yeah, Christmas green. I was like, that's not Christmas green. That is Grinch green.
Grinch green.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Which, by the way, the Grinch stole Christmas. He gave it back. So I don't know why we always use that as the analogy, but that's the whole story.
It's because nobody ever finishes it's just like Indian discourse, right? They didn't finish the book. They didn't finish the movie. They watched a couple highlights from the Grinch movie and they were like, you know what? He stole Christmas. He's a villain. It's the worst.
Can we talk about this Disney cast that they had? It was on ESPN2. They played this Disney cast where they had Disney characters embody the NBA players and they had gingerbread men like embody the rest of them. And so like Mikal Bridges was Mickey or was Donald Duck. You had Kat was Goofy. And there were some insane things. I don't know who this was for. The play-by-play guy, I think it was Drew Carter. I don't think he was told like who he's directing this to because he was calling it like a normal play-by-play. And Monica McNutt, like God bless her, she was trying to like talk to kids and explain this is what in the paint means. This is what this means, and like try to explain it all. It was so slow. It was so strange. The best part of it. There's 2 great parts. The Goofy churro pace counter as he was eating churros, like how many churros he was going to eat by the end of the game was incredible to see him just how many churros he had like 25 by the end of the first quarter. And then they did a slam dunk contest at halftime and Minnie she jumped off of Pluto's nose and then like did a back handspring into Goofy's hands like above his head, and then he flipped her up over a miniaturized castle like she was jumping over it to the hoop. Then she dunked it. It was insane. It was hilarious.
You know, people have talked about should dunks be worth 3 points. That Minnie Mouse dunk should be worth 3 points. Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. All right, look, let's get to our. You know what? I didn't even realize we were going to recap a whole 6th game in this slate, but Nick took care of it for us.
Game within a game.
Game within a game. Let's get to our next one that we got here for you. The Minnesota Timberwolves holding on for the win against the Dallas Mavericks, 105-109. Let's throw it out to Locked On Wolves really quick before we let Nick wax poetic about what happened for the Mavs in this game.
Minnesota Timberwolves held on to beat the Dallas Mavericks by 6 on Christmas Day. I'm Ben Beacon, host of the Locked On Wolves podcast. Anthony Edwards had 26 points and had a clutch bucket to put the Wolves up 2 possessions in the closing moments of the game. But this was a Timberwolves lead that was as high as 28 points in the second half before a fourth quarter meltdown. The offense once again grew stagnant. Anthony Edwards had too many possessions where he simply was playing hero ball, but he did come up big down the stretch. Luka Doncic went back to the locker room with a strained calf late in the second quarter and ended up only playing 16 minutes in this game. So the Mavs had no Luka the whole second half. Kyrie had 39 points. The Wolves also had a strong performance from Julius Randle, 23, 10, and 8. The story was the solid ball movement, the great play of Dante DiVincenzo early in the game, the big lead the Wolves built, and then again losing it due to stagnant offense down the stretch. But Ant comes through in the final minute. The Wolves hold on and win by 6, and the Wolves snap their 3-game losing streak.
All right, Nick, moral victories and whatnot in the NBA, but this is a Mavs team who's shown that they've been able to win games, especially this season, without Luka. So do you walk away, like, from the Mavs perspective, like, encouraged by how this game closed out, or are you still frustrated? Like, no, they should have beaten this Wolves team, especially given how, like, stalled out the offense got at the end.
Luka injury aside, yeah, you do look at this game and say, all right, well, they can still come back. They were down 28, like Ben said, and then they made it a 2-point game with not that much left, and had a Kyrie 3 with 35 seconds left to take the lead at that point.
A great look.
They had an opportunity to get there, and so this team has shown resilience. This team has shown that they have real depth, that they can come back and they can play different kinds of styles, and they can beat teams when they don't shoot well, when they do shoot well, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, you do take some of that from this game, but the real story of this one is Luka's injury and how long he's going to be out. It's a left calf strain for Luka. It's the reason why he missed all of preseason. It's the left leg that he was dealing with all through the playoffs and last season as well. So he's been dealing with this for basically a calendar year, this left leg situation. And so for him to be out, he left the AAC on crutches today, and then he also the Mavericks are bracing for him to be out for a while. For all the Twitter doctors who are like actual doctors, not just the fake ones, like the actual sports like therapists, our guy Jeff Stotts in Street Clothes said that it could be on average players with a grade 2 calf strain, which is a more severe one, they miss about 36 days on average. That's about 15 games. So he's going to miss about a month is what I would guess here on this. And if that's the case, this Mavs team, the depth will have to step up in this moment, and they've shown that they can. And but it's going to be tough for them. It's going to be tough to figure out how to do it and to figure out where they can be and then what they want to do. And if they have to go on a crazy run again, but that's what the Dallas Mavericks do. They go on a run after February, and then they make it to the finals in the Western Conference Finals.
And in a stacked West too, like that's the crazy part is like you look at the standings in the Western Conference, and
it's not as stacked as it could be though. There's not like elite teams though. There's the Thunder.
Every Thunder fan listening to this is now angry at you.
Not elite teams. I said plural. The Thunder are elite. I did a whole thing on my show the other day about I'm not going to judge the Thunder even until they get all their guys. But
that's, to me, that's kind of part of it, right? Is like you have the one elite team that's head and shoulders above the rest of the pack in the West, but then every other team is jostling for positioning. Yeah. My big take was that there was only going to be one team to break 50 wins in the West this year, and I think it's going to be the Thunder. Every other team is going to be 49 or fewer by the end of the calendar year, and again, that's going to be a bit like, does Dallas get lost in that shuffle during this extended stretch without Luka? I think if they can play at least 500 ball without Luka, then that's a total win for the Mavericks. Depending on how long he's ultimately out for and when they get him back. But like you said, maybe they just go on a massive tear again post All-Star break, as they are set to do. Let's get to our last game here as the Phoenix Suns taking care of business against the Denver Nuggets. Let's throw it out to Brendan Clean.
Phoenix Suns on Christmas Day over the past few years, but we have not seen a lot of winning, and they changed that today with the first Christmas Day win for this franchise since 2009. The Phoenix Suns really just did what they did not do on Monday to win this game. They played the Nuggets once this week. They got bashed. It was rock bottom. They basically flipped the entire script in this game, beating them 110-100 as Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, the only healthy members of the Big Three with Devin Booker still out, both go for 20-plus, both bring an aggressive mindset, beating the way that the Nuggets often defend the pick and roll and defend overall. Extra help. Their bigs out on the perimeter. The Suns were crisp with their passing. They were early. They got up the three-pointers off of that ball movement. Everything was working. And then on the other end, Mike Budenholzer, a big tip of the cap for adjusting to what the personnel needed, right? This was a team that was lifeless, that was sputtering, and he put his energy guys in. And hey, the winner of the Suns Christmas Day matchup in the past 4 years, they've gone to the finals every time. Yeah. Not saying that'll happen here, but the Suns fans will want to hear that, and it's a nice win for a team that really needed it.
Okay, so I don't know how much we're going to take away from the whole Christmas Day win. Will they make the finals?
The Mavs were the team last year that did.
There we go. But maybe there is some Christmas voodoo here at work. But I just want to highlight here, like, this was a game where, like, I watched the Nuggets and I was like, man, this Nuggets team is like a shell of its former self. Like, and to me, so much of it comes down to Jamal Murray. Like the minutes, he was a team worst -16. The minutes where like Murray is supposed to like carry the non-Jokic minutes by himself offensively just look so bad. But even in some of the minutes where Jokic was out there, like guys were just standing around, like not cutting. Like it was a really bad third quarter of basketball by the Nuggets. And I'm just sitting there thinking, you're playing with literally the greatest passing big man of all time. Like do something to open yourself up. He will find you. He has eyes in the back of his head. Like make it easy on him, please.
Yeah, the Nuggets have some depth issues, obviously, from the beginning of the season. And Christian Brown was supposed to step into that KCP role, and then somebody else was supposed to step into Christian Brown. I guess Westbrook was supposed to step into the Christian Brown role off the bench, and Christian Brown has not been that guy. And I saw a bunch of Nuggets people complaining about it. You mentioned the Jokic Murray. Jokic is a -3 in this game. Murray is a -16 in this game, meaning that the minutes that Murray played without Jokic were really, really bad because the rest of the time they played together, obviously. And you look at that for the season, and that number continues out through the rest of the season. When Jokic and Murray are both on, they have a +12 net rating, and their offense is 127. When Murray is on and Jokic is off, it goes to -1.3 net rating and 109 offense. Like it just completely falls off a cliff, and it followed suit in this game as well, where Murray just hasn't been able to carry them, and they need somebody because they don't have enough depth to have another guy come off the bench and help carry them. Westbrook has been good at times. He had 17 and he had 17 in this game, and he can give them some scoring here and there, but he's not going to carry you the way that you need one more guy to carry you. Michael Porter Jr. has not really been that guy to carry him either. And then Aaron Gordon left this game with a calf injury as well, and so that really hurt them because he's the guy that helps give them advantages in the size department and off ball and all that kind of stuff.
A bad night for Cavs, huh?
Yeah, the Cleveland didn't play, but yeah, the rest of the Cavs were struggling.
Struggled across the board. That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Thanks so much for being here with us as we recap the Christmas slate of NBA games. Be sure to tune back in on the feed later on for our Locked On NBA program with Matt, Hayes, and Doug. But until then, we will catch you guys next time at our very next game night.